Good Sunday afternoon to you. This is part 3 of the Ward's Airline radio attempting to restore. I'm in the process of testing the tubes now. I'm finding quite a few weak ones here. Now on this tester here, there's a notation in the beginning. On 25 volt tubes like the 35Z5 and various other tubes, it's normal to show a short in position A when you got it on 25 volts. But when you drop the voltage down, it's supposed to go away. If the indicator still shows short, then the tube is indeed shorted. Anyways, the problem here is low emissions. On the 6A8, 6 SQ7s are both weak. I got a 35L6 in one socket and a 50L6 in the other. That's just the way it came. This tube is really hot, but I'm not getting any emission on this at all. $35L6 filament 8 85 tube selector A regular tube selector A, K for cathode. I should be getting a reading. That meter should be moving. This tube is very hot. Now we put this down to shorts. Now we could have a shorter tube here. There is no notation here saying normal shorts. So what we're going to do, turn this off. On this radio, I did get audio, so it's probably coming through just 50L6. Now, if that shows the same thing, then it's a big mystery, because it should not be totally dead. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any audio. But if one tube is bad, you'll still get one side working. I do not have any stations coming in, but I did pick up a lot of interference with the loop coil hooked up with the 4 wires in the back, which I did off camera today. I got all the resistors put in. I had about, I would say, 3/4, maybe a little more than that, dog bone resistors had to be replaced. And what a job for me, with my bad eyesight, trying to see in there to do it. But I got them, and they were way off. They were like double the value, most of them. And I got all the old parts in here in the box. Another thing on this tester here, on the 6, I think it's a 6SK7, I cleaned the socket. I even did a video on it and everything, and deoxed, and sometimes I have to wiggle the tube in here. I don't think this type of socket you can tighten it. You can see the deoxide that I put down there again. So the 6, I believe it's a 6SK7. Yes, this tube tested good, but I had to move it in the socket because the needle went right to 0. But the other tubes that I've tried didn't do that. This is the primary socket on this tester to use. This, on certain tests, this socket is used. So there's 2 octals. This tester has been very good. It's pretty accurate. It's not a mutual conductance. Those are way too expensive. I had this for a while. I showed you videos on it, and I restored it as much as I could. Now, I got the B&K 606 that Don Mangold gave me last year, and I usually go back and forth because this is an 8-pin octal, so I could probably double check this. Not this tube. This is the one I haven't tested yet. This is a 50L6. This was marked this way when I got it. So the 50L6 is going to be the same test, except it's going to be 50 volts, which is position 9 on this tester. We'll bring this down. We'll put this back up to set the line. There's a rear stat here, and we got to wait for the 6H6 to warm up, and there it is. The 6H6 is inside the meter here for the line check. We got it on the center here. Okay, now we're going to test for shorts, but we're going to let it warm up a little bit, give it a good chance. Now, I'd be shocked if this one shows no emissions. So, okay, this is the 35 volt, position 8, position 9 is the 50 volt. This is the 50L6, the one I tested before is a 35L6. And that's what was in the radio. So now let's check for shorts. No shorts. Okay, flicker's all right. That's normal. Okay, no shorts. Hang on a minute. I got to double check my chart here. Okay, 50L6. K for cathode. Filament, position 9. 85 on the shunt control. And A, regular. Okay. 85 on the shunt control. This is right here. Now, this is not a linear control. So this has got some bad spots in it. Usually at the, I think it's at each end. But they're not totally open, but they are little bad areas, and I cleaned it with deoxit over and over. I had bought on eBay a linear taper, and it slams the needle. This is not linear taper. When I opened this pot up, you got coarse wire, and then towards the end you got very fine wire. So there's two different windings in series on this pot. So they're not able to get the right pot. But it's working okay. So now we've got that. We put this, we got no shorts. Put it on cathode regular. Okay, we got a good tube here. Now, what I usually do to check for life on the tubes, and I've always done it on every tube tester I have, is drop the filament voltage down one division and watch the needle. She's staying right up there. That is a very good tube. So that's a 50L6. That's what's in there. And probably need another 50L6. I don't have it. My tube inventory is very, very, very low. But I do have some tubes, but I don't have those. So let's do a short test again. Because it's warmed up, I put it back up to position 9, which is a 50 volt setting. We rotate the tube selector here. Every tube test is different. Some of them have the switches, some of them have the rotating control. Okay, no shorts. Okay. So we're sitting good, and I didn't have any problem with the socket on this tube. And the pins are clean on that other tube I showed you. Alright, we're dropping the filament voltage back down to 35. We're going to retest this 35L6. Settings are all the same except the filament. Okay, we're putting this up to shorts. we're going to insert the tube back into the socket. And we'll let it warm up. I got the air conditioner on. If you hear a squeal every once in a while, it was real noticeable on the last video I did. It's the air conditioner. Okay, so now we got our test on shorts. Okay, and we got our load selector on shorts. So let's move the, yep, we got a short on C and D. So this tube is definitely bad. And that's probably why he put a 50L6 in there. He didn't have another one. Another 35L6. So we can't use that. That's definitely shorted. Here is another 35L6 that was in a bag. We're going to test that. That came with the radio, but it was not plugged in. So shorts, we're gonna test that. That's a 35L6. It came in this envelope, which is the writing is very, very faint. It was probably done. It's marked 50L6, but that's not what was in there. A real old envelope. It's probably done by the radio guy that worked on this radio. Like I say, this is Bob's radio. Many, many, many years ago, and he's the one that put this dial on here. And I put a pilot light in, but the dial is solid, so you're not going to see that coming through. All right, let's check for shorts. Ain't going to get any shorts. The damn tube isn't even lit. All right. Oh, yeah, we got shorts. Yep, we got shorts in position C and D. Well, if we got shorts in there, that tube isn't lit. It's cold. Well, let me put the light out here and see if I can look at that tube in the dark. I'll do that off camera. That tube is not lit. Now you got to watch out for this, because if the tube has gone to air, and this didn't go to air because it's dark inside. If it was white inside, it would have gone to air, and when that happens, the filament, if it isn't burnt out, will draw so much it could blow your transformer and your tube tester. That's why you're leery about buying a tube tester off of eBay or anything like that online, because the transformer's burned out or the meter's burned out. You might as well hang it up, kid, because you ain't going to find a replacement for it unless you get another tester. Now, I left this out long enough. Watch the short light. It should come on right away. Yep, it does. The 50L6 that I just tested will not do that. The other 35L6 will do the same thing. So these tubes are no good. If I take the 50L6, put the 50L6 in there, it don't matter about the filament because it's down to 35 anyways. We're only concerned with the shorts. Plug it right in. We still got this set on C. No instant short. Okay, so we got a good 50L6. Even though it's down to 35 volts, we can put that up to 50 volts. We're double checking again. Oh, it looks like just about every damn tube in this thing got a problem. But before I condemn any of these tubes, I'm going to put them through the B&K 606. I've done this in the past, and they pretty well jive together. Okay, notice no short. Rotating. Okay, tube is good. All right, Always put your filament voltage down. I tested the rectifier tube. Rectifier tube is fine. 50L6 is good. So we can't do any more on this radio, but I want to show you underneath. Yeah, we can't do any more on this radio until I get some tubes for it. Maybe it'll come to life. I want to show you the sloppy work I did underneath. No, I don't really want to show you the sloppy work I did underneath. But I'm going to. Okay, I covered this area. Replace these. These are just the input for the phonograph. I didn't even bother testing these. The micas. I didn't bother with. Now, this is rubber covered wire. The only rubber covered wire in the set is right up to the IF cans. If you touch that, you got to pull the IF cans out and rewire it. So yeah, do not disturb it. You got one right here, a red one, that goes up to the IF can also. That's the only rubber covered wire in the set. These two are okay. This is okay. It's up a little, but within 20%. This is all right. This is the it's cathode resistor for the output tubes, but it tests okay. I can't remember the wattage now. I'll have to look it up. It's not a 3rd watt. I think it's a 1/2 watt. I replaced the 407, well, it was 500,000 ohm. I put a 470,000 here and here. This is the grid resistors right there. Replaced them. Replaced resistor down here. Replaced another one here. That's a mica up here. Not too worried about that. I cleaned the switches with deoxit controls. And I was very careful with everything here. And I double checked. And the only thing I got to do is I got to go over and make sure there's no pieces of solder had fallen down. Some of it has. And wires that I clip off, like when I put a resistor in, I'll hook it around in my little eyelet. And then it's sticking out quite long. I'll solder it. And then I'll snip off the end. It's easier for me to work that way rather than to just take and make it short, because most of the time I make them too short and I screw myself up. So I hook it in the best I can, solder it, and then trim it off. And a lot of times the pieces are falling down here. I'm not able to hold my magnifying glass, hold my light, hold the wire cutters. I need an octopus to do this. And like I say, those things that Harbor Freight sells, I've had 3 of them, and I'm just banging my head into everything because I need to get my face really close. If I could work the distance I'm working right now, it would be good. It's very awkward for me to use the microscope camera. I've tried it. I can't seem to get myself coordinated with it. But it is good for inspection, to check my work afterwards. But I do use an eye lope quite a bit to inspect my so-called workmanship. I would never make it on the assembly line, I'll tell you that much. But I wished I could have done a neater job. But what are you going to do? At least I can do something, you know. Okay, so everything's been gone over as much as I could go over. And I'm kind of disappointed that I found so many bad tubes in here, but I cleaned this switch too, by the way. This is the phono and radio. You know, you want to clean them anyways because they can get erratic and staticky. Okay, I think we'll turn this over now and see if we can do something about the dial. You know, the plate. Now, obviously, this is not only the wrong one, it's going the wrong way. When you tune it this way, you are going up in frequency, but the dial is going down. This thing has got to be trimmed back because it's dragging and hooking on here. But I still don't see how these rivets look original, but I have no idea how they put that on. But there's no other way. It's like a metal, there's cardboard and there's metal behind that. And this is riveted to the metal behind it. But anyways, when you look at the tuning cap here, as you well know, the tuning cap is coming out, so there's less capacity. A lot of guys call these the bread slicer. I guess that could be. You also can call it the cheese slicer too. As the capacitor opens, there's less capacity, therefore higher frequency. So theoretically, it should be going out. But that's not a fault of the dial string. That's the fault of this, because if I'm not mistaken, I saw a photo of this, and the high numbers were on this side, the low numbers were over here. That's unusual because usually every dial I've ever had started like this, low and go high. This one starts high and goes low on both bands. So I don't know if Bob's going to be able to get a dial. All we need is just a paper dial. I'm not sure what these came with. I would imagine it's a paper dial and then I had a glass over it in the cabinet to protect it. I really don't know. I think some of my viewers, or one of my viewers, has this radio. Might be able to chime in and tell me. So anyways, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the BNK 606 out and recheck these bad tubes. Alright, I got the BNK 606 and I'm going to put the camera down here and I'm going to set up the tube tester for a 35 L6. Alright, well, it's not the best camera angle. I really need an overhead shot here, but you get the idea. So we're going to look up a 35 L6. 35 L6, here it is. Okay, way down here. There's only one setting for it. The heater's 35. So 30 to 38. Right here. All right. All right. Now, A is 36. All right. And B is 6. It's already on 6, okay. C is 5. It's already on 5. And socket 3, which is right here. Instant short. Instant short. And you rotate shorts with this. Alright, so this tube has got an instant short. This is the other 35L6. Instant short. I don't know if you can see that because it doesn't light as bright. but she's got an instant short. So what we got to do is get two new 35L6s. We might as well go with 35L6. The 50L6 that's in there is good. We can use it in a radio that takes a 50L6. Alright, now I showed some weak 6SQ7s. So the first thing we got to do is drop this filament voltage down to 6 volts. If in doubt, drop it down. When you put it away, drop it down. Otherwise, you'll go and put a 6-volt tube in it and it's set up to 35 volts. Well, I'm telling you, the tube isn't going to like it very much. Okay, so let me set up for a 6SQ7. Let me get set up for that. This is a long video, of course, but then again, that's nothing new. The old 64 Goat has always given you long videos. 6SQ7. Damn spider in here or something. Whatever it was, it moved fast. Not sure. I think it was a spider. It was really quick. Or an ant. Okay, 6SQ7. Heater 6A42. B is 1. C is 2. Socket 8. Same socket. It's quite common. Now this tester has the grid emissions also on it, the setting. I had a Sencor that had the grid emissions. Can't remember the model of it. That tested the newer tubes also. Alright, let's okay, as I recall, these tubes, the 6SQ7s, one is a metal, which is this one, and the other is glass. Neither one of them had shorts, but the emission was down. So let's check for grid emissions. Well, first let's check for shorts. We're back to, got to go back to 2 again. So let's shield this so I can. We got a short in there. Now the way to find out if it's an actual short is reduce the filament voltage. Down to 3 volts, and we're staying on. Well, geez, I thought this, let's see, I thought the 6SQ7s were weak but not shorted. Two positions I'm showing. Maybe I'm set wrong. I don't know. I'm not doing too good with it. I'm not getting any reading. It's on 2. Alright, I got the second 6SQ7 in the glass one here. And I show instant shorts on 2 positions in this also. Not doing good on the damn tubes at all. Nothing. It wasn't dead on the other ones. On the other tester. I know I got the settings right. Could be that maybe I'm using the wrong socket. 6SQ7 saying socket 8. The only thing I can think of, that's socket 8. If I put it in socket 12. Nope, it don't matter. I don't have a 6SQ7 to try out. No, not doing good. I don't have it. I don't have it. I'm going to give Bob a call. I'm going to have to get a set of tubes for this radio, I think. Now that's a 6SB7, like in Bob. This one I don't know. I don't see the number on it, but it showed, I tested it, had shorts in it. This is an unknown tube. Couldn't find a number on it. These are some of the tubes Bob gave me, and some of them I pulled out of things, including that reel-to-reel tape recorder. Well, that's all I can do tonight. So that concludes part 3. I think this is part 3 of the Ward's Airline radio. We can't do any more right now until we get some of these tubes replaced, and I can't understand why I'm not getting any reading on this when I was getting low emission on the Radio City Products 308 tube tester, the first one I showed you. No idea. But I know I got the settings right on this, but why the tubes don't even read, I don't know. The only way I'll know if it's a setting in the tester, the book might have a misprint, is to have a new 6SQ7. Even a 12SQ7 set on 12 volts, elements are the same, would give me a good idea, but I don't have one. Okay, so thank you for watching. Stay tuned for part 4, which will be coming up, but not immediately. Have a good day, keep cool, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Actually, it's Sunday night, so the weekend is just about shot.